All right. Hello and welcome to everyone that's joined us for our animation webinar, which is for us to show people what animators do, how animators live, that vibe of being animate. As you can see, I'm talking with my hands. I am animated as well. Is how we always are. A lot of people, but yes. So I prepared a little intro video just to show you guys a snippet, not the entire spectrum, but a snippet of what us animators generally do with when we're given something normal and someone has to do something with it. Just give me a quick second. So once again, welcome everyone. So as you can see, today's topic is becoming an animator and its challenges. You know how some people think that you can wake up today and today I'm going to be an animator, and you don't have relevant training, you can do it. Remember that it is somewhat true and at the same time somewhat false. With the fact that with today's day and age, you can decide, okay, today I'm going to learn animation, go to YouTube and learn how to be an animator from YouTube. You don't necessarily have to have that one paper that they tell you to go to school for 3 years for. But you can become an animator at home. Some people have done it. I have a few friends that have decided, yes, this is what they're going to do, and they started pursuing it. So the things that we need to ask ourselves as well, right? Which way do I want to take my animation career path? Do I want to be the freelancer anime? Do I want to open my own production like Madam Thandiwe over here? Or do I want to teach others how to become animators or help others become animators as well, like Stephan that we have here? So with these three questions, or rather these three categories that you want to do, you can even join in under Madam Thandiwe's company as an animator, just under their help solo get made, guys. Just power to the people. Let's get it done. But yes, so with that, there are some things that you have to consider, right? When you consider these things, you have to think about, okay, is the delivery date realistic? So you can't necessarily just jump into something and decide that, yeah, today's the day and I'm going to be an animator by the end of today, right? So you have to be realistic with yourself, right? That's number one. Number two, remember that you don't have to do everything alone. It is very important, because if I can use Madam Thandiwe's example, if Sola gets a friend, right? She doesn't have to design the friend. Mr. Stephan over there, she can say, Stephan, can you please create a young character for my animation here? And Stephan can go ahead and do the things, just make things happen. Yes. So without further ado, I want my guests to introduce themselves to you guys so that everyone can know why I chose these two people to join me for today. Madam Thandiwe, can you take the floor for us, please? I don't know if it's me, but I can't hear you. Just make sure that your mic is...
Can you guys hear me now?
There you go.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Well, hello everybody. My name is Thandiwe Mlauli, and I am the founder and CEO of Studio Yezi. Studio Yezi is an animation company, and we're based here in South Africa. And basically, what we do, we focus on heart-centered storytelling, and we want to change the face of animation, one, but also just the industry as a whole. We want to just to create new ways of actually interacting in the workplace, and we want to create a very wholesome workplace so that people can come and show up with their creativity and feel supported in the process. So we're very, very like intentional about that, even in the way that we sort of create our connections, and in the way that we work with each other. We are actually we have a virtual business model. And that grew out of lockdown, honestly, because once lockdown started, we couldn't really move the way we wanted to move, so we went digital. And we have some team members in America, we have some team members in Nigeria, we have some team members from Puerto Rico. Like, we have a very global staff. And so we've sort of, I guess, we're moving with the times, and we're kind of going digital and global as well. So I think that's just a little bit about who we are and what we do.
Okay. Mr. Stephan, can you show your colors as well? And remember, guys, you are animators, so if you guys decide things must
I'll
happen,
try and be as animate as I can. It's normally the opposite. You know, the better you animate, the less you move and the less social you are. But but I've been in the industry for about 10, 12, 15 years. I kind of haven't even I've lost count. But since then, I've also entered into the education realm. So I lecture, and I'm the head of the animation school at Open Window. So we have an animation program, and we teach motion design and game design, all those sort of, sort of sister subjects to animation. And besides that, we also function as a sort of an ad hoc studio. So I have my own company, and then we often sort of tap into the, the resources, the people that we've trained. So we pick some of the best people to work with, and we create these sort of remote teams per project, and then we execute on whatever the brief is. And it can range from, corporate animations to commercial animation, to e-learning content, or, interactive games.
That's interesting. So there is one thing that I actually dabbled in as well, right? I remember, but 2013, I came to Open Window as well, for a year. So my life flashed before me. I decided to look the other way, go the background route, and be a programmer, to be a gamer, like for gaming, sorry. So, and then I learned that no, it's not only animation, there is also game design. So I went the other way for no apparent reason. I just wanted to say that out loud so that everyone can know that I did attend at some point in my life, and it was great. It was fantastic. So getting down to the nitty gritty, right? I just want to know from you guys, what do people need to get started? We can go back because we started Thandiwe, then Stephan. So now we can go Stephan and Thandiwe. So Stephan, what do I need to get started as an animator?
Ooh.
Well, I suppose there's a bunch of technical requirements. Sorry.
No, go ahead. Please go ahead.
Depending on what kind of animation you want to do. I mean, you can start with something as simple as a pencil and a piece of paper, but I think most importantly, you need passion for the medium. It's very time consuming, it's very labor intensive, and you really need to want to voice your creativity. So I would say that's the number one thing, is you really need to love the medium.
Okay.
I agree with that 100%. I would take it a step further and say it's the love for the medium, but then it's the discipline for the medium too, right? Like, and I say this because I went to school for producing, more specifically than I did animation, but I loved animation so much, and I think just in learning how to draw on my own, like I was looking for resources all over the internet. Any free class they had, I would be in it just to figure out like anatomy and like how do I illustrate this and like just the psychology of characters, like how, you have to have a passion for the education aspect too. I think like you can't get anywhere without learning, and learning doesn't have to look like the traditional route, like you had said. In the sense of like, oh, okay, you don't have like a certificate that says, oh, I finished college, but if you're what's the word I'm looking for? You have to take initiative, I think. Like you have to be you have to have a sense of individuation outside of like what people are gonna say about it, because animation is one of those mediums where people don't really understand it. Like, kids are Popeye. And you're like, I'm making cartoons, you know what I mean? So you'll hear a lot of negative feedback because people don't understand it. So no one's gonna give you that push of like, yes, do animation. It's a good industry. It's a blah blah blah. It's not one of those industries where people you're gonna get the belief from outside of yourself. You have to be really within and be like, this is what I want to do and this is what I want to do with it. You have to be very clear about that, because otherwise you'll be wasting your time.
See, inspirational people, guys, inspirational people. Yes. So I just want to debunk this because I got a message that said something, right? Which would you guys choose? Live action or straight up cartoon? Because live action is still a form of animation itself, because you still have to do some cutouts as well. So which would you choose?
When you say live, like, I mean, movies have visual effects and things like that. So
Yes.
is
So
that
you
what
have live action animation, which is like The Lion King, right?
Oh, no, I don't like that one. No, I'm sorry. Like, why are you spending $300 million to look like National Geographic, please? Like,
Yeah.
I respect the work it took, because like getting those hairs down and the details, I respect that. Don't get me
Yes.
wrong, but I don't see the point in spending so much money to make it look like like it's real life. Like, what's the point? The whole point of animation is to go outside of your reality, is to expand your sense of reality, to go into that surreal space. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
Yeah. It's to exaggerate life. It's to enhance what's there. It's not to replicate necessarily. I mean, like you said, there's a certain amount of admiration for the skills and the technology that goes into it. But I'm also not a big fan of copying what's already there. And this. But again, like animation it's a very wide field. Like if you explain it to your grandma, she would probably say, okay, he's making cartoons. But
Yes.
if you look at it in reality, it can be so many things. It's a really viable career because there's so many avenues that you can go and explore. Just because you study animation doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be making animated films, but that's an option to you. You can go in any direction. And if you just look at content being generated these days, for the internet, for Netflix and television and film, and even like just in-house sort of communications and things, like it's a tool. It's a tool for narrative.
That is on point, on point. You see, me, I'm with you guys. Give me the cartoon. Don't give me this live action. I don't want it to be the actual thing. I want to see the genie's mouth open this wide with his eyes becoming this small. Yes.
Like, let's have fun. I think that's my favorite thing about animation. It's why I was attracted to it as a child. It was just like, it's like Stephan said, it's exaggerated, it's big, it's entertaining, it's like draw me, it's immersive. And I don't the live action part. I mean, I have some beef with 3D too, because of just the lack of immersiveness that it has, but people have done it really well. Like, there's some people who do it really well, and commend them for that. But like in general, yeah, I could stand on my soapbox for days.
Oh, okay, okay. um, now here comes the big question, right? How does one create a portfolio as an animator? Any of you, whichever
Yeah,
one chooses.
because I'm on the other end of so I think Stephan would be great for this.
Okay. Well, it's a skill that you have to learn. You don't really. I mean, in my history of teaching animation, the very few times that I came across someone that has sort of a natural feel for animation and can do it just out of, off the bat. Some people have a good sense of motion, and others have a talent for drawing. But to put it all together means you have to practice it. And the more you practice it, the better you get at it. And I think that's the crux of it. You need to, start somewhere. You need to be able to do it for a period of time so that you can look back at the stuff that you've done and critically evaluate it and go like, oh, you know what, like that time, maybe I didn't draw it so well, or I didn't quite, draw it in a very sort of obvious or readable position. Maybe I can improve on that. Maybe I can improve on my line work or the exaggeration of the characters, or use of color, whatever it may be. But you need that time to distance yourself from the things that you've done in the past to build up a portfolio over time and become better. And I think,
Okay.
if you ask even like family members and people just to like look at your stuff and tell you what they think, especially your siblings, if you have any, like they're honest. Your mom might lie to you and say it's lovely, dear.
Yeah, I found that to be true as well. Just no, that doesn't work. That no,
Like,
and then
that
you
doesn't
do the
make sense
things.
over there.
Yes,
No, I think you make
yes.
good point, Stephan. Like on my end as a producer, when I was like looking for character designers and just sort of the people on the team, um, I choose my teammates very intuitively. So it isn't very
Mm-hmm.
technical. I was like, yes, please speak first because it isn't super technical. But what I do look for in terms of feeling, I know one of our main character designer, he's got clean lines. His lines are
Mm-hmm.
like he's steady, he's sure, like you can tell that he's done this, he's in his window of like comfort and tolerance, like he's built up this
He
space
just
where like I'm
proves.
confident. Yeah. And like he also, his colors are fantastic. Like, and so
Okay.
I remember I reached out to him, I told him what I wanted to do, so we make the deal happen. And it's only after where he tells me, oh no, I challenged myself. I did a drawing every day for 365 days. Every day. And I'm like, that's cute in the first 20 days, maybe first 30.
That's cute.
But like the whole year, like every day without skipping, he said he was so tired, but like you can tell that
The
he did
whole
that,
year.
right? And then he spent, I think, like 3 years just as a colorist for comic book writers. I mean, like just for comic book makers and writers. So that's all he did for like 3 years. So that's why his colors popped out so much. So me, from a non-technical, I didn't know all of the work that he had put in, but I saw it. Like, right, it jumped out at me. I'm like, oh, okay, this person has a sense of mastery over what they love to do. So I think there is that element of like, you want, and I guess this is for all mediums in storytelling, you want to get to the point
Mm-hmm.
of the story as quickly as possible. Like when you're screenwriting, you want to give us the action now. In animation and in illustration, you want to make it pop. Like you only have 5 seconds to capture my attention. I don't have 30 minutes to go through your whole portfolio. What stands out? What are you practicing the most? Because that shows
Yeah.
in the
I
final
think
in the
that's a
final
really
product.
Yeah.
important point that you're making, is that there's also so many aspects to the production pipeline that it's it's possible for someone to take something from concept to final product. But there's also so many sort of sub areas of specialization that if you wanted to only focus on like concept design or concept art or storyboarding or just the animation component of it, there's also a possibility. So you can also gear your portfolio towards that discipline and then land a job in that area.
So that people can know, okay, you animate. That's it. If I give you this little cartoon over here, you will make it move, jump up, down, left, right. Or you the one that can make sure that this line here is so proper that it's just, yeah. I get that. Sometimes for me, the problem that I see in most people is that when you build your portfolio, you want it to look wow, but you're not focusing on, okay, listen, what I want to do is motion. What I want to do is colors. What I want to do is the artwork, the concept artwork. So the character design, this is what I want for the character, right? And this is where I get my inspiration in most cases, so that people can understand who and what you're trying to do, who you are and what you're trying to do, how you're trying to change the game, as we say. Yes. So, Ms. Thandiwe, as you said, you're on the production end, right? So I want to know, how is being an animator, how is it as a career, as a passion that you're driving forward?
It is demanding. It's demanding. It's challenging, but it's also very exciting. And I think that's really important. Like to be honest, I enjoy every aspect of production. So when we were before we even started the animation process, when we were still like developing the voice actors and like getting the scripts down, I was in that like I was like, yes, like where's the story, where's the adventure, like let's get into it. And then when we moved, it was definitely intimidating, because it was like, oh, I didn't go to school for this, so will I be able to give creatively? And I think the best part is being able to trust your teammates. So it's like I surround myself with people who really know what they're doing, and then they also interested in quality control. So like they want it to be the best, they want it to be competitive. So I guess I say all that to say it's very exciting. It's definitely demanding. It takes up a lot of time. Like we could have like 4 to 5 hour production meetings just on one thing, and then you have to do that again for another thing and another thing and another thing. So you have like you have to live storytelling, I think, if you really want to do this for real. Like you can't just be like, oh, I'm gonna clock it, it's my 9 to 5. Like it's not
you can't
that.
do that.
Like
no, I fully agree there.
yeah, you have to have that element of like, okay, I'm giving my time to this. Yeah, it's very time
Okay. Stephan, see, my question to you is a bit interesting, because I've gone through your profile, and I saw that for a brief period there, you've been doing freelancing, right? How does one get that right?
I think you can only really do freelancing if you've worked in the industry for at least a bit, because you need to kind of know how to set expectations. You need to often educate your clients as well, because they're not necessarily familiar with the process. So I would say, go get a job at a studio, or apply at a studio, or even intern at a studio, or just go shadow.
Yezi.
Just go check it out, and then and then if you have built up some confidence in your techniques, then enter into the market. There's a bunch of websites that allow you to put your portfolio out there, and allow people to contact you, or even sort of bid on certain jobs that have been posted. Yeah, so there's a number of ways to go about it. If you put your work out there and you show people what you're up to, you know, like via social media, and sort of build up a little bit of traction and get people interested in what you're doing, the word of mouth spreads quite fast, and you can, you know, like before you know it, this guy's asking you for a job, and if you do that job well, that client will come back to you, and then, yeah, you know, just build up a network.
I have a question, please.
Right, you in the back there. You in the back there. Yes.
Yeah, like I have teacher, I have a question. No.
Yes.
In terms of freelancing, I'm very curious about the idea of pitching yourself, because in screenwriting, like in just in other aspects of production, we do have this method of like, we package ourselves, we like scope potential clients, and we like, you need us right now. Like, let me tell you what I can do. Is there that element in the freelancing for animation, and how do you navigate that, like the pitching part? If there is, I don't know. Like, I'm just curious.
I'm listening to, you know, side hustles are real.
I've got some ideas, but I don't know if it answered your question. I think that you also try and take on a brief and make it your own. So the job might not always call for animation, or sometimes a client thinks they want this type of animation. You have to kind of like sort of smooth talk it so that it fits or suits your style a bit better, because, you know, like you're also just capable of a, well, I think maybe if you have a wide range of styles that you could potentially do, if you're, you know, a skilled artist. But if you're comfortable with a particular technique, it's your job to convince the client that that's going to work there for their product. And it's often, you know, it comes down to narrative. So it's all about storytelling. So it's how you present the story in the end of the day, the content, how you can frame it and use the tools that you have to sell it, really. Whatever that brief might be.
That makes a lot of sense, because like you said, if you're coming with a style, you kind of, that's you bringing your personal element into the brief, as you're saying. So it's like, okay, no, this is what I do, and this is how I can do what you're asking me to do. So maybe it's a good thing for animators and just artists in general to know, is to not allow yourself to drown in the mist. Like, you still want to have that sense of individuation as an artist. Like, yes, my personality is going to tell this, as much as my skills are. Who I am and why I'm doing this is also a big component in getting clients to trust you and to want to work with you. You know, they want to know that there's a human being behind the screen, so to speak. You know? So that element is important.
I agree with that one, yeah, because honestly speaking, even from a consumer's perspective, right? I watch anime, right? So your Japanese anime vibes, that's me. And now, in most cases, you will watch an anime purely because of the drawing style of the anime itself. So how people relatively go back to saying, okay, this was the same animation style as Dragon Ball Z, right?
Yeah.
So they'll watch it, right? This was the same as what's this dub from Tube, so I'm gonna watch it. You know, it's still animation at the end of the day, but you do associate it with in your mind. You associate it. Okay, no, that was fun, so this should be fun as well.
Right.
This just because of the style as well. So there is a question from Mulligan here. Sorry. How can animation become more mainstream and accessible to the people on the street?
So crazy, because it already is. That's as crazy as that it's everywhere and you guys don't even notice it. Like, Like I'll be scrolling on Twitter and I'll see like these little animated Capitec ads, or like I'll see different companies like sort of dabble. So it's like I think it's because we don't, either it's like we're not trained to recognize it maybe, but it's
Mhm.
like it's there. It's really there. But I think in terms of storytelling, I I'll say this as from Studio Yezi, the way we approached it was like we're gonna tell such an amazing story that people are gonna want more of it. that's,
Yeah.
that's that's how we make something mainstream. We make it exciting enough to create a demand. Because one of the biggest things they told me, I
Yes.
remember like in my final year in thesis, they were like, "Oh," because I remember like wanting to do like an animation, an animation with African characters, and they were like, "Oh, there's no black audience for animation." And oh, adults don't watch animation. I was like, you guys are smoking stuff and it's not the good stuff. Like, what do you mean? I'm like, it's not teenagers, it's not kids paying upwards of $2,000 to go to Comic-Con. I promise you it's not. Like,
Yes.
it's
It's
a
not. It
working
is not.
adult.
Yes.
Like, so I think because they sort of resisted me in that way, for me, as for us at Studio Yezi, we're just like, we're gonna show them, we're gonna create an audience, and we're gonna make them excited to see Sola, and we're gonna like just bombard them with all of the great stuff. So I think
Yes.
that's our method right now. We're like, we want to tell an action adventure story that, even though it is African characters, everybody can relate. And I think that that will create a demand for more, because then people will realize, oh no, this it has a space.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
True. True. In a world where solar captivates
You see what I'm
everybody. Yes.
saying?
I,
Yes.
I
Yes.
absolutely agree.
For you.
We
Yes.
all grew up, and I think adults today all grew up watching television, watching cartoons on TV. It's definitely mainstream. It's everywhere. It's even in some cases it's more financially viable to do something in animation than it is to film it. There's restrictions like with the lockdown, and or even working remotely. It's way better to get a team of animators to produce commercial content than it is to hire a film crew and try and have actors and people on set, and sometimes that's not a viable option. So
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have turned to animation when other options weren't available. And then also, again, there's such a wide spectrum of the types of animation or techniques that you can use to sell something, that yeah, it's literally everywhere. Um, but I think
Mm.
maybe based on the question, like how do people get into animation? How do the man on the street get into animation? I think that a lot of um, software applications or there are a lot of open source options nowadays. It means that you don't necessarily need to spend any money to get into it or to start practicing it, or even to make money from
Yeah.
it. Blender 3D is an amazing software tool that we actually use at Open Window as well. It's
Mm-hmm.
open source. It's rather lightweight, so it runs on a potato. So you can get away with like a minimal um, investment in hardware. Even
Yeah.
try and sort of get a secondhand machine and run the software. And again, you don't necessarily even need to apply it to animation. You can apply a 3D application to rapid prototyping. I mean, you could 3D print things, and you could create mechanical parts or prostheses or anything. The like 3D is so versatile.
Yeah. So there's some interesting news that I've actually read up on yesterday, in lieu of this event. So apparently the animation industry has grown to, oh, I think it was 18%. So an extra 18% of what we've already been having has been added, because right now we have your movies that are coming out in animation mainly, because of the whole COVID situation that we went through, of lockdown complete. Even some people in the US, music videos are now animated. Everyone's just jumping into animation now because social distancing, right? With that being said, right, I want to know from both of you, where do you draw your inspiration? Like, do you watch a cartoon and be like, "Hey, I think this would be added there nicely." Like, where does it all come from? Like, because it can't be just a cloud that hangs above you and be like, "Yeah, today, lucky, okay, we're doing this today. Great, let's do this." Where?
Mm, Good question.
You touched on it earlier, where you said
Yes.
it's all about the individual. You know, like I think you shouldn't necessarily draw from animation for inspiration, although that's helpful and certainly, you know, being a student of animation is very useful because then you know what's possible and where, you know, what are the trends of the time and all of that sort of stuff. But you really want to draw from life. You want to draw from your life experiences. Tell your story. Um, I think that's, yeah, that's the crux of it
Big facts. I
for me.
second that. I second that for sure. It's definitely like what makes you tick, what makes you, what excites you, what brings you a sense of ease, what takes you out of your reality and makes you immerse into someone else's. Like what about life seduces you? Like what excites you, what brings you into a space where like I want to, like, because when you think about it, like when you love someone, whether it's romantic or someone in your community, you wake up excited to like, oh, how am I going to give to this person, how am I going to draw something out of them, how am I going to get their appreciation, how am I going to get their validation, like, there's all those things that like make you want to not think about the fact that the world is ending.
Yes.
Because
At
it
some
can get
point.
depressing. Yeah, right. It can get depressing when we see all these systems like fall apart and like, you don't want to rise, you don't want to wake up. But then there's these little moments, this juice of life. And I think it's everybody's responsibility to tune into themselves and figure out what that is.
Mm. And just
Yeah.
suck the life out of that fruit that's just there. Like, okay,
I
this
mean,
is
listen,
what
it's a
inspires me.
mental
This is
eater,
life.
okay?
Let's get the juice.
But think about it this way, because and to that point, it's so funny. Like we get sometimes I think there's this subconscious feeling of shame at consuming things, right? Like we have a shame of taking
Yeah.
or receiving or ingesting. And I think when you take things too early, then there's something wrong with that. When you're pillaging, there's something wrong with that. But like, what do you think fruits are for? Like trees spend all that time
Yeah.
growing, 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 and then you guys eat it. You guys spread the seeds because that's actually the real point. Is like it's to propagate. You know what I mean? But
Yes.
I think to your point of like taking the juice out of life, if something is sweet, enjoy it. Say thank you for it. You know what I mean? And then you
Yeah.
move on.
Yes. Move on. Give someone else. What's the word? Pay it forward.
Exactly.
Give this
Share
someone
it.
else the tea.
If you're
Yeah.
gonna have an
Yes.
orange, slice it in half then and share it with your neighbor next to you. But yeah,
Yes.
that it's meant for
Yeah.
that. I feel so we shouldn't feel guilty about enjoying things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Quite profound. That is yeah. Da, 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 da. But yes. um Tandu, what is your greatest body of work excluding Studio Yezi? So if you take yourself out of that, what is your greatest body of work? Because the way I see it, Studio Yezi is this big and everything, nothing will compare to this big.
It is,
You
yeah.
can't even see my
You're
hands.
gonna y'all gonna find this funny, but my biggest body of work is me. It's me. I've been working on myself for years. Like
Okay.
I've been investing in myself for years. I've been affirming myself for years. Like my the for me to be able to do what I do at Studio Yezi, to serve the way I serve at Studio Yezi, and to connect people the way I do, is because I had to get out of my own way. And I think that's like the biggest component of being a successful artist, however you sort of see success. But I think it's me, because like there's a level of clarity that I've found in myself that translates to everything I'm doing right now. So yeah, I don't know if that actually answers your question, but my biggest body of work is child.
Okay. Stephan, for you, what's that one thing that just, goodness?
I think there are a couple of projects, that I can look back at, thinking that I'm sort of like proud of how that turned out, or I'm glad that the clients were happy, uh, and the project was entertaining and people enjoyed it, and kids laughed at it, or like whatever response you get from it. That's always valuable. But I think being in education, and I've only really recently realized this, also being in education for many years, is that I think the greatest feat to date is that all these young inspired animators go into the industry, and they go and create amazing work. So it's the people that I've connected with and trained over the years that I feel is probably it's not all, can't take credit for it necessarily, but I feel the most proud of that aspect.
Okay. Yeah, you definitely can't be like, yeah, I made you, so you made this. So in general terms, I made
You want
this.
You can say I influenced them. You're like, I did influence, I did train,
Yes.
I did.
Yes. So I'm in there as well. Yes. Yes. I need to ask this from both of you, right? But I'm gonna do this because of the categories that you guys are in, right? Ms. Thandiwe, being Studio Yezi, the way it is, right? What's the most fun part of living the animation dream, of being in the animation sector? What's the most fun part of it all?
Oh my God, why you do this to me? Uh, the most fun part is actually
Yeah, even
living
if
the
it's going out to buy sandwiches with everyone, yeah.
it's literally the living the process of nothing to something. It's the most surreal thing
Ah,
ever. It starts out as like, oh, I want to do a video on X, Y, and Z. And it's just an idea and you don't know how it's going to turn out. And then you see it and you're like, oh my God, like I am creating outside of myself. I think that's the most fun. And because it's the same, I think that's the main thread in every aspect of production, because I have fun in everything, whether it's like I said, writing or animating or whatever. Wherever I'm at, I'm having fun, but the fun is coming from, oh, we're using our skills and like we're turning nothing into something, and that makes us creators, and that's cool. Like guys, creativity is like like I swear, bro, like creativity is the best gift that humanity was given.
yes.
It's like it's the source of everything. It's the juice. So
Yes.
yeah, yes. So that
Okay.
process is like fun.
For you, Stephan, what's the hardest
I
part?
think the hardest part.
Completely
It's like, oh,
different.
now
Yes.
I
Damn.
want to tell you what's fun.
I thought I was going to
Let
get that.
him tell us
What's the
what he
most
finds
fun part?
fun.
Okay. No. She wants to know. Let's give the lady what she wants. Please tell us.
What's the most fun part? Look, I think
Yeah.
you've really touched on creativity being sort of the source of everything. I think like even most religions start that way. First something was created, and I think there's that inherent trait um, in people to want to be creative and to again voice their individuality. But to be honest, the parts where I had the most fun is probably that time when you're almost like too close to the deadline to maintain your sanity, and you're working closely with with a team of animators, like burning the midnight oil and just really
Yes.
like grinding and working on animation together. And then there's always like the you know, like the most fun in that sort of group of peers and that mindset where you're just like
Yes.
creativity is just like boiling out of
You're like
everywhere.
the mad
And
scientist. You don't even know what, you don't even
yeah.
know what's left and what's right
Yes.
anymore. You just know that we're doing the thing. We're doing the thing.
Yeah.
So that's
All you need is your coffee, your snack, your Monster if you want that, or whatever energy drink. Yes, and that's all. Just dive in. Okay, guys, who was responsible for this line? Who? Come on, someone speak up. And then okay, let's go on.
yeah, when
You know
the director
that
comes
I
in the
understand
next
that vibe completely.
the director comes in the next morning and opens the door, and you can like the steam of the animation is like pouring out of the door.
Yes,
Like plates.
Love
yeah,
that. Oh my goodness.
yes. Okay.
It's the
Yeah.
hardest part.
What's the
Uh,
hardest part of choosing the right way to move forward with animation? Or even, you know what, no, let me rather ask this, Nat. What's the hardest part for becoming an animator?
um, yeah, I think it's willpower and dedication, because it's going to take a while. You're not going to get it right the first time, and it's learning from your failures. So, you know, taking criticism constructively, you know, working with it, um, and putting in the time. I think to me that's both like the hardest part of becoming an animator, but even being an animator, it's also just managing your time and being aware of the amount of effort things take to produce, and weighing that up against the job satisfaction, and making sure that you also, you know, get out of it as much as you put into it. Um, I think it's hard to manage that.
Oh, that's
Good,
deep.
but
That,
that's you make such good points because it's like, but I feel like those are the moments where it tests your commitment and your resolve to the dream or to the thing that you want to do, right? Because like everything that you commit to is not going to be easy, whether it's a marriage or a relationship or whatever. Like it's that sense of devotion that you can wake up with every day, outside of when it is fun and like juicy and, and all those things. It's
yes.
like you get those moments of like imposter syndrome too, of like, am I doing this? Is this me? And he like, I don't even know how to. You'll get freaked out, and then as soon as you open the app, you're like, oh yeah, I did this yesterday. I know how to do this. Like there's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. It's like there's a science. So yeah, no, you're right. I agree with that. Like that resolve, that discipline, that like sense of devotion is it's so key to develop over the course of
Okay.
like your artistry and your career for sure.
Okay. So I have two more things for you guys. Actually, two more things, right? Number one, did you guys know that today is World Animation Day?
Only after you guys reached out. I was like, oh shit. But before that,
Day
to be
is,
honest, to be totally transparent, no. Because we've been in the trenches over here. Like I did not.
okay.
I didn't even
I
know it was
did-
a thing. I didn't know that. I didn't know
you
that
didn't know
existed.
either?
Yeah.
I didn't know it was
So,
a thing. I didn't know there was a day for animation.
Okay, so I'm not alone. Because I
yes.
really
No. No, nobody's alone. See, the thing is that you have to do all this research and find out, when did Walt Disney decide that he's doing this, right? When was the first animation made? And today, I think what, a couple years ago, where we had, you know, that that flip book, someone just, and then you just see it moving, the car moves by itself. You're like, whoa, okay, that's cool. And someone decided, yes, what we're gonna do today is we're gonna make it move on a computer, right? So a couple years ago, we had our first animation. I think it was what, 83? We had our first animation today, right? This is just me imparting knowledge on people that are here as well. So we are celebrating World Animation Day today because this is important to us as animators and as those that want to be animators, right? Second thing, I want both of you, because we're live Facebook, YouTube, and Zoom. Those of us that are here, for those people that have those parents that say no, don't be an animator. For those people who don't have the know-how to become animators, right? What would you say to them? Like, because they have this thing in them that they want to be an animator because they went somewhere and they saw this amazing animation that blew their mind. How do you instill or impart onto them becoming an animator? How do they convince others that, okay, I want to
Yeah.
be an animator? Yes.
Uh, the thing that comes to mind for me is you have to prove it to yourself. You have to
Okay.
prove it to yourself. Like if you want to do it, you have to prove it to yourself. You have to be like, I'm going to wake up at this time and do these things every day for a certain amount of time so I can see that I'm capable of it. Because once you know that you're capable of something, it's not that hard to convince others once you know.
Mm.
If you're still in that phase of, I want to do it, but I'm still waiting on the validation from others, you're going to have trouble
Yeah.
because you're not going to get it. I feel like
Hmm.
that's a rite of passage for every artist. It's like, there's a point where people are going to reflect your disbelief of yourself. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think
Stephan?
that's, yeah.
How do you convince your parents that you that you should be
Yeah.
allowed to animation? I think just being aware of all the animation content that's being generated, pointing it out to your parents, taking note of it and um, sort of familiarizing yourself with the industry. So looking at the various studios that are in the country, what kind of work they're doing. And yeah, I think that's mainly like animation as an entertainment medium or commercial animation. But again, there's so many applications for animation that you just need to start noticing, and you'll quickly find that it's everywhere. It's really a very alive and busy and happening industry.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I agree with that. Obsession is a good thing in some cases. Like, be obsessed. That's how I learned how to draw. I saw someone do it and I was like, oh my God, like she's great. And then I tried it and I was terrible. But I was so obsessed with the feeling I got when I saw her draw that I was like, I need to feel that again. Like I need to, I want to know what that's about. You kind of, it's so illogical, some of these things. You think you can rationalize your way through things, but honestly it's like the grit and the passion that's really going to push you forward. So obsess
Mm.
about it. Obsess about it. To
Be
add
very consistent with it. Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, Stephan, I'm looking at the time and I know that you have to go very soon. But just before you leave, right, there is a question here in the chat. What are your long-term goals in the sector? What is your vision? So for both of you, but I just want Stephan to answer it first so that he can part with us peacefully and we will let him go.
Cool.
Yes.
Thanks. I think the reason why I went into education in the first place was because the local industry was still quite young. And I'm talking about like 10 years ago, right?
Mhm.
And we weren't really producing any long form animation. So um, I was working at the studio that was just sort of in touch with the other studio that was making, I think, Jock of the Bushveld back then, which is not our best moment. But at that time, there was a very clear need for skills and more
Mm-hmm.
talent in the industry. And um, I I thought that going into education would really help um, feed the industry and produce a sort of a constant flow of new talent and building up these studios so they can be bigger and produce more content. So a lot of our students in the past have worked at these big studios. Triggerfish in Cape Town's doing really well now. Luma Animation in Joburg's doing long form content as well. So I think like the moment that the industry can produce um, animation work at scale, it means that the industry is healthy and it's doing well and there's work for everyone and there's profits to be made. So I'm hoping that I'm very glad to see that the industry is where it's at within like a fairly short amount of time. But I'm also hopeful that it will continue on this trajectory and that we can really prove to the international market that you know South Africa is a storytelling powerhouse, that we have the
Yes.
skill set, we can and they can bring their funds here, like and we can we
Yes.
can
That
even we can
part.
even tell their stories.
That part. I
Yes.
100% agree. Yes.
Yes.
And it has to come from here. Like I want to see us like compete like on the global stage and not as animals. Like we don't need to animate animals every time. Like let's have characters and like
Mm.
movies and films and like let I want people to trust us with their resources for sure. So I love that what you're doing, and also being the head of a school, like because development for us is so important at Studio Yezi. So like the fact that you're putting the time and the work to make sure that these skills exist in the country is an amazing
Yes.
feat. Such an amazing feat.
If
Thanks.
I could, I'd stand up and do the whole thing, but yeah, life right now.
Thanks, guys.
Yes. But thank you very much for joining us, Stephan.
All right, it's been a pleasure.
Nice. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Um, for those of you that are still here as well, actually, Thandiwe, there's a question that popped up. Right.
Okay.
Roughly, what do animators earn? Is it possible to start with animation now? And once finished, yo, this question is everywhere. I'm sorry. Roughly,
Yeah.
just roughly, what do animators earn? Let's
Mm.
start there.
That really depends. Because it depends on the budget, the scope of the work,
Mm-hmm.
and it depends on your skills as well, and how much people are willing to pay too. I would say, like I said, it depends because there's different scales for different things, and for us as an independent company, we've negotiated like in different
Yeah.
ways. So like currently we have a long form project with Solar, and so people like, yeah, people definitely have different rates and depending on what they're doing, because like a key animator um and a storyboarder are not going to have the same rate, right? So it
Yeah,
depends on different way,
definitely.
you know what I mean? So like I guess it sort of depends on the scale. I would say, ooh, the average now, this is now for like an animator doing about 100 frames a week. um it can roughly, it can be like between like 400 to 500 all the way up to $800 a week per 100 frames, so,
Mm.
and that's if they're like really skilled at what they do, and so yeah, it varies so widely because of how different the budgets have been and what people have and how seriously they take the medium. I think when you get into like a corporate space, it's a little bit more because the resources are different in corporate than they
Yeah.
are like independent. So it definitely varies.
Okay, so just to keep you in the loop as well, right? Last month we began an animation challenge,
Ooh,
right?
okay.
So maybe you can see some of our work as well. So because we did say to them we're gonna announce today, right? I want to just show you guys some of the artworks that we've received.
Ooh.
Just give me a quick second. Okay. Um,
Ooh. This looks
there you
cool
go.
as hell.
Right. So this, for everybody else, this is the third place.
Okay.
Let me just get the name of the artist quickly. The name of the artist is Sibusiswe Mabaso.
Okay.
Right.
Well done.
Yes. Third place. Let me
Well
just get
done.
to the second page for him.
Oh, look how cute. No,
Yes.
this is
So
so awesome. Oh my goodness.
so this
This is
is, yes, awesomeness. Like for me personally, it was something brand new out of the box that people in South Africa in different communities are so interested in animation that we received a couple of entries, but we're only showing top three, guys. We're only showing top three, right? Then you have our second place, character design by Teboho.
okay. Ooh, okay. All right. This is very nice. Now, this is
Yeah.
in Studio Yezi's realm, magic and Afro-futuristic. Yes, Dewacho, go ahead then. Okay.
All right.
This is
So for
wonderful.
those, there are some people that I sent everyone an email that was participating in the animation challenge, asking them to come through to this webinar as well. For those of you that are here, if you are from that pool, can you just raise your hand in Zoom so that we can have a young chat with you as well before I reveal the number one? Yes, if they did come. Okay, Eugene.
Hello?
Eugene,
Hi.
how are you?
Good and you, sir?
I'm very good. I'm very good. So, what inspired you to do the animation that you decided to create? Uh, Let me just open it up for the people to see as well.
Oh, sure. Um, the story came about, I heard about this conspiracy theory from my friend. He's really into them. It's about the Mandela effect, which is basically a false memory. Um, so uh, some people use it as proof that like the world has gone into a different timeline. And I wanted to study the idea of like what would happen if Madiba actually died in prison, like they say he did,
Yeah.
or study that alternate timeline where he actually became a boxer instead. So I had like a
Oh,
treatment where he becomes this boxer and he starts fighting apartheid like one fist at a time, sort of thing. And like, no, this might be like a copyright issue. So we thought maybe we should try and do something else. And we just brainstormed it, and it's basically about a freedom fighter who is doing the same thing. He's like saving babies and all this stuff, and he just gets these tips constantly about how to make the world better. And eventually, like a shadow government comes and tells him to go on a mission, and he gets caught because it was part of their plan. Like kidnapping someone isn't something that they do. So while he's escaping from this facility, we did like a brief YouTube sort of video. While he's escaping that facility, a black hole merger causes space and time to expand and create more time, and he gets caught in this explosion, and it propels him into the future where the apartheid government has obviously won, and now they're in war with other African countries, and it's this big conspiracy, essentially. And he's there to try sort those people out in the future.
That's interesting, man. Okay, so with the creation of the character itself, right? In your mind, where do you envision this moving forward?
I try to look at Blender and Grease Pencil to maybe try to do like a short trailer, but I think it's not very expedient because the nature of my job, I just work like 10, 12 hours a day. So I want to try maybe like use some sort of 3D thing, but all these cool things now, like that whole face swapping technology. I think if I can find some scenes and chop them up together and create my own narrative using that, I can just superimpose my my 3D models and then have actors that I like perform the job that I want them to do. And yeah, because I build a lot of 3D scenes in the first place. So it would lend itself to my job.
All right. Thank you very much, and also for entering. We have decided that we want to include everyone that has entered into a young training session for those that want to join a training session with us here at AB4IR. What we want to do is inspire more people to join the trend of animation, because animation, in fact, is not a trend. Why am I calling it a trend? This lifestyle called animation, because it's a lifestyle.
Word.
It's real as it's real, right? So you have the winner, right? Which is, for me, one of the best animations I've seen in a while, and thinking that it comes from South Africa, it's just, yeah. Right.
Oh, wow.
So this person decided complete character creation, right? So it tells you the origin of the stylings as well.
Nice.
And now you get this bad man Majama over here, just to keep things clean. Yes, right here. And then he also does it for the ladies as well.
Oh, wow.
Full on character creation, and this is just amazing.
No, for real. This is really dope.
Right. Very.
Yeah.
So yes,
Okay.
Congratulations. Exactly. That's what I was thinking as well. All right.
So this, which artist is this?
Zamogushe.
Zamogushe, male, female?
That part I'm not entirely sure of. This is why I love dealing with emails, because then there is
yeah.
All you know is that this is a person and they created this. And all I know is that
well done.
We've extended it to a lot of people, and for me personally, this was one of the best, the greatest animation or character creations that I've seen in a long time. So this is why I wanted to
dynamic.
give everyone
I'm sorry for
so guys, no, it's all good. It's all good. So guys, I just wanted to thank everyone that joined us for this. You especially, Madam Thandiwe, like in my mind, I thought this was not happening. And I was like, no. We're going to push. We're going to try and get something here. There has to be a response. Okay, send a message. Nothing. Okay? Like everything. Just like everything, they'll see my name. They will see my name. And they'll be like, okay, message. Let's do this. Right. And from the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you for joining us for today and helping us get others inspired to join this beautiful, beautiful thing we call life of animation. right?
Thank you so much for having me. This was fun.
Awesomeness. We might want to invite you as well to come to the actual center so that you can also teach
Oh,
those around us as well, just to show that, okay, guys, it doesn't mean because this is what's happening now, you can't be an animator. You can always be an animator, right?
absolutely. I would love that. I would love that.
Like, I'll arrange. I'll arrange with you. We'll email. Yes. I also want to send out a big shout out to Stephan for
Yeah.
being one of the people that actually helps us become animators and being an animator himself and joining us today. Right. What I want you guys to
So
do,
excited.
just so that, yes, very, very. And now for everyone that wants to join us here, you can always just visit our website, ab4ir.org or www.ab4ir.org. You can check us out on social media, Facebook, ab4ir, on Instagram, ab4ir_SA, on Twitter, ab4ir, sorry, ab_ wait, yeah, there you go. The links are up there. The links are there, guys. You can see the links. My life right now. Yes, the links are there. Send us a message. If you want to join us for incubation to become your own Madam Thandiwe over here, have your own studio as well, we can also help you with that as well. So all you have to do is be inspired enough to stand up and say, hey, I'm here. I want to be one of those guys. I want to be one of those girls, one of those people that do the most, because we do the most. Animators, you see a movie that's 1 hour. We spend hours on that. So join us.
Um, okay, I'm going to leave.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, guys. My laptop just decided to go down, so I had to run to another room quickly. But yes, I am in the center, and I want you guys to know. Remember, be inspired at all times. So, just to be sure, Madam Thandiwe, thank you once again, and please don't be afraid to send an email. I think there's audio issues here. No. Okay, there. Otherwise, guys, enjoy the rest of your day. And remember, animators make the world go round. Was that your own? Nothing wrong. 21. Yeah, it was 21 in total. At least.